Title: Whispers in the Woods. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the dense woods that surrounded the abandoned Eldridge Asylum. The air was thick with an eerie silence, interrupted only by the distant rustle of leaves and the occasional call of a lonely bird. It was the kind of silence that seemed to absorb sound, wrapping everything in an unsettling stillness. For Derek, the journey to the asylum was not merely a hike, it was a challenge, a test of courage spurred by whispers he had heard all his life. Legends of the Eldridge Asylum had lingered in the small town of Millfield for decades. They spoke of ghostly apparitions, tortured souls, and a darkness that clung to the very walls of the structure. Despite the warnings, or perhaps because of them, Derek felt compelled to investigate. The thrill of the unknown beckoned him like a moth to a flame, and he found himself standing at the edge of the woods, backpack slung over his shoulder, heart racing with both excitement and fear. He took a deep breath, the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filling his lungs. The path ahead was narrow, flanked by towering trees that formed a natural tunnel. As he stepped into the woods, the light dimmed, the sun swallowed by the thick canopy above. Each footfall echoed in the quiet, the sound of his boots crunching on twigs and leaves a stark contrast to the stillness around him. With every step, Derek felt the weight of the stories he had heard. His friends had dared him to go, claiming that no one who ventured to the asylum ever returned unchanged. "It'll be a thrill," they said. "You'll come back with a story." Yet, deep down, Derek knew there was something more to those tales, something dark that lingered just beyond the reach of reason. As he walked, the woods seemed to close in around him. The trees, tall and ancient, twisted their branches like gnarled fingers, reaching down as if to ensnare him. Shadows danced at the periphery of his vision, and he found himself glancing over his shoulder, half expecting to see someone, or something, following him. Hours slipped away as Derek navigated the winding trails, the sunlight fading until it was just a memory. The chilling reality of solitude settled in. The woods were not just empty, they were alive, watching him. As he pressed on, the air grew colder, a biting chill that seeped into his bones. He could feel the weight of the asylum's presence looming ahead, as if the very building were a magnet pulling him closer. Just as doubt began to gnaw at him, the trees parted, revealing the asylum in the distance. The structure was monstrous, its once grand facade now marred by years of neglect. Broken windows gaped like empty eyes, and vines twisted around the stone walls, reclaiming what had been lost. Derek's heart pounded as he approached, the thrill of discovery mixed with a growing sense of dread. He stepped onto the cracked pavement that led to the entrance, the sound of his footsteps echoing ominously. A chill ran down his spine as he pushed the heavy door open, the hinges creaking like the groans of a long-dead patient. Darkness enveloped him, the stale air thick with the scent of mildew and decay. He flicked on his flashlight, the beam cutting through the shadows, revealing remnants of a world long abandoned. Each room he explored told a story. Rusted beds lined the walls, their sheets yellowed with age. Faded photographs of patients hung askew, their faces obscured by time. The walls whispered secrets, soft, unintelligible murmurs that set his teeth on edge. Derek shivered, his skin crawling as he wandered deeper into the asylum, the oppressive silence amplifying the sounds of his own breathing. He descended into the basement, drawn by a strange compulsion. The stairs creaked underfoot, each step a reminder of the fragility of his situation. The darkness grew thicker here, and he could hear the distant drip of water echoing through the silence. As he reached the bottom, he felt an inexplicable weight, as if the very air had grown heavy with despair. In the far corner, a flicker of movement caught his eye. Derek's heart raced as he trained his flashlight on the shadow. Nothing. Just an old chair, rocking gently as if someone had just left it. The hairs on his arms stood on end. He was not alone. He called out, his voice shaky, "Hello? Is anyone there?" The sound bounced back at him, swallowed by the dark. No response. Yet, deep down, he felt the presence of something, a watcher lurking just out of sight. He forced himself to breathe, to focus, but the whispers in the walls grew louder, more insistent. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from above. Derek's heart dropped, and he instinctively backed away from the corner. "Hello?" he shouted again, his voice tinged with panic. Silence enveloped him once more, thick and suffocating. He turned to leave, but the sense of being watched intensified, a cold prickling at the nape of his neck. He retraced his steps, urgency fueling his movements. As he ascended the stairs, the whispers seemed to rise with him, weaving a tapestry of fear that tangled around his thoughts. Every instinct told him to run, but curiosity pulled him deeper into the heart of the asylum. What was it that haunted these halls? What secrets lay buried beneath the decay?